Good, finally Friday morning. It's 3 minutes past 10 o'clock, and we're already up to...
finally Friday.
Yeah, already up to 41 degrees, and it's not going to get really warm today, but we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Right now, it's time for your hometown movie guys. Tina, Craig, and Andy, except for Andy's not here because Andy had other things going on. So we'll have him back here again next week. But Tina and Craig are here. And how y'all doing this morning?
Considering?
Considering?
Yes. Yeah, really. Yeah. Good.
Doing well.
Good.
Yeah, doing
Yes. Really.
So all kinds of cool things happening. We got new movies coming in today.
We got one new one today.
And that is?
West Side Story.
Ooh.
A boy like that.
Now we were talking
Give
about
your
this.
mother.
There you go. We were talking about this before the show today, and really, I mean, it takes some. Well, I'll use the word guts to take an iconic smash hit from the '60s and decide, hey, I'm going to remake that. And of course, if anyone is going to redo it,
Steven Spielberg.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, Steven
But,
Spielberg film, and this one is at an 87 on Metacritic.
Wow, and they don't like anything.
Yeah, it's supposed to be just an excellent film.
Yeah.
So that starts today. What times does it play?
12:30, 3:45, and 7. It's about 2.5 hours long.
No, okay. And if for some reason maybe you've been in a dark cave or something for a long time and you don't realize it, this is a musical.
Oh yeah.
And there's bound to be somebody out there that doesn't know about West Side Story. But gosh, it was really an iconic hit.
His original choreography, which would please me greatly.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
because I mean, if you think about the original, the great Russ Tamblyn who's an amazing dancer. He was, the American guys in Hawaii would call them howlies, whites.
Right.
And, right, he's the howly guy, and and then George Shakira's "Oh Be Still My Heart" was the Puerto Rican guy.
Well, and there's a bunch of big names that were in that.
Yeah.
And even one that Rita Moreno was in there back in the '60s. She's playing a different part now, but she's in it again.
Yeah, she's in it, and she has held up very well.
That gal has danced all the way for the last 40, 50 years.
She's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see it.
You gonna go down and see it today?
I can't today, and I can't tomorrow, but I'm thinking Sunday. Yeah.
Easy enough. Okay.
I'm
as long as you get it done by the.
I'm a busy girl, I'm
That's
a busy
right.
girl.
I guess there's going to be musicals in pace, and I mean there hasn't been too many musicals to compare this to as far as what the overall crowd response in Rim Country would be.
Yeah.
But I would think this would be.
Generally, musicals do really well up here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
And this one will be here through the year then.
All right.
Dude, the music.
Dudette.
Yeah. The music is still by Leonard Bernstein. I mean, we're talking a serious musical
So
here.
still the same.
And the
tunes.
choreography is still by Jerome Robbins.
Wow.
I mean,
It
okay.
ain't broke. Don't fix it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I am so in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Can't
cool.
wait.
So they're doing the same choreography, the same music, just only the faces have been changed.
Well, they're younger people.
Yeah, well.
Even I can't dance in that one. So.
Yeah,
Right.
I can dance around a few issues, and that's about it. It sounds like a lot of fun, though. Now, what about that's the only new one that's coming on board today? Now, this last week though, we had didn't we?
Belfast came out last week.
And how's that been doing?
I guess not a lot of excitement about it.
Stop now. Excitement. I mean, when you go to the theater and you see a movie like this, which is so beautifully crafted, so beautifully acted, so beautifully written, directed. It was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is a wonderful actor. And my dear friend Kara, who's been on this show a couple of times, we talked about it, and she went up and looked up the background, and it looks like it's probably autobiographical, because he was born and brought up in Belfast. And this would have been around his age to be the little boy. If you haven't been to see this movie, you are so missing out.
Wow.
It is so special. And, people keep complaining about how Hollywood doesn't churn out what they want to see. Everybody I've talked to who's actually gone to see it, and there's not enough of them, but there should be, has told me, oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. I would see it again. And I would see it again.
Belfast.
Yeah, great movie. Great.
And this is set in the 70s?
In the 60s.
69.
69.
Okay.
And during the Troubles.
Right.
And the sweetest story of this family and this little boy. It's kind of centers around this young boy who is growing up in the, in this chaos, this bombings and, and killings, and just from his viewpoint, and just the struggles of the family to remain together because the father has to go off to England to work, and he comes back, and it's got the great Dame Judi Dench.
Oh wow! That's been a big name for a long time.
To see her act is, you got to see her act anytime you can. She's so wonderful. Yeah,
she's been at it for a while.
She is.
We're kind of
it's a wonderful movie.
We've kind of turned the corner on things. Of course, 2020 was kind of a lost year, and
kind of.
what we saw there was, Hollywood putting out some, okay films, I guess. And that's kind of coming to an end now.
And holding things back,
and they're starting to put these movies out again. So what you're seeing is, clearly from last year at this time, the quality of film is much higher. We've got some good stuff coming up. Next week we've got Spider-Man coming out.
Wow,
Yay.
that's
Going to be a
great.
Spider-Man film. It's going to crush everything.
How many Spider-Man iterations have they done so far?
Oh, so many.
Running out of fingers.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be the third of kind of the new wave of Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
They did they do a few, and this one's going to be interesting. They're doing this whole multiverse concept, so we're going to have actually more than one version of Spider-Man in the film. So yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting how they're going to twist this around and everything. But that's kind of the direction Marvel's going with this. Was it Phase 5? I think.
Wow, interesting. The release of movies into the theaters and that type of thing, as opposed to 2020 when things got kind of messed up with COVID and everything, that's getting back to some normalcy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, we got one. It's called Licorice Pizza.
Oh, that sounds disgusting.
When they did it, it's out in limited, very limited right now. And then Christmas they're going to expand it a bit more, and that's the sort of thing we saw. Licorice Pizza is going to be nominated for a few Academy Awards anyway.
I think Belfast.
Most unique title.
Yeah. Well, if things are fair, Belfast should get some of that too.
Licorice Pizza. Go back to this for a second here. You think this is going to be Oscar worthy?
Oh, the buzz is there for sure. Yeah.
Really?
Like I said, that was something they used to do with these movies. They would, because you got to get them in, at the end of the year to be considered for the Academy Awards.
Right.
So they wait until the very end on these things to do that. So
do we know what what the setting for that movie is?
yeah, it's another kind of a growing up story. A little bit like Belfast. Kind of a coming of age type thing.
I gave up growing up. I decided to grow out instead. And so far it's working. By the way, we need to say good morning to Katie, William, and some other folks here, Ahmed, who are all watching on Facebook Live. So if you have a chance and you feel emboldened, go on to Facebook Live and check out KRIM FM, and you'll see us for a full hour there.
Nanu.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you do want to see Belfast, or anything really that we have at the theater now, now's the time to do it. We've got 2 new movies next week, and then Christmas is the following week, so we'll have 2 more movies on Wednesday. So basically everything that we have now is going to be gone by Christmas.
Right.
And by the way, another thing about Belfast.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, the music is all by Van Morrison.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, and it's so perfect. And he's Irish. And it all of these wonderful songs that I know, that other people know, they just enhance this wonderful movie so great. Go see Belfast, please.
In there anywhere?
Yeah, it's great.
Like the song Moondance, is it get in there anywhere?
I don't know, I can't remember, but they're the one. There will be days like this.
Yeah, that's stuck in my head.
Oh, I know.
Van Morrison, that's a song
man,
that'll
it's
live
so
here.
great. Yeah.
Well, anyway, now that's there was also a kids animated movie.
We got Encanto.
Yeah, and how's that been doing?
It's been doing really good. Yeah.
So
that was a big one over the holiday.
Kids out of school, very quick here for the Christmas break and everything. This would be a good one to take them to.
Encanto at 1, 4, and 7, and then Clifford Big Red Dog, we still got
Oh,
that.
wow.
Right.
That's at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock now.
Right.
And how's that been going?
Good.
That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
3 weeks?
Yeah, it came out November 10th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and again, that'll probably be gone here next week.
Right. Oh, cool.
That's,
So there's something for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now it looks like a good. Actually, our lineup looks pretty solid. We've got West Side Story today, Spider-Man next week, and then Nightmare Alley comes out next week too.
What's this? It's
You
a
know,
horror flick or?
Kinda. I'm really not even sure. From the trailer, it's kind of set like in the 1930s, but it's Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
It's got a great cast to it. It kind of looks like a murder mystery type thing, but the guy's like he can read minds, and it looks a little strange, but yeah, a great cast to it.
I'll pretty much see anything with Bradley Cooper. He is really good. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But Cate Blanchett as she's aged, she's gotten this kind of almost like a strange otherworldly presence, which when I saw the trailer seemed very perfect for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's really I think she's going the way of Judi Dench to be a long-term performer, and
Right.
she's
Interesting.
really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good morning also to Marcus, Kristen, and Nicole who are joining us. Hey, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Excuse me. And then what else is rounding out the slate for today? We missed one.
For today, let's see. We still have Ghostbusters.
And how's that been doing?
That did great.
Now,
It did really good.
As opposed to the original iteration back in the 70s or whenever it was,
I think so.
is this on par to be as successful as that was?
Ooh.
I mean, that's a
yeah.
big,
I was going to say that one is pretty iconic at this point.
Right.
But this one is everyone has really enjoyed this movie.
It's
I
three
think
releases.
There's three
Andy
releases.
really liked it.
He really
Yeah,
liked it.
he really
Andy
liked
doesn't
it.
like anything.
I don't
No, he
think-
actually likes a lot.
Okay.
I don't think I've heard anyone say they didn't
Yeah.
like the movie.
Yeah.
Huh.
And a lot of people have come back and seen it more than once.
So it's kind of one of those interesting, if it's like the originals, interesting mix of a little bit of comedy mixed in with terror and stuff like that.
Yeah, some creepy stuff, I
Yeah.
guess, a little bit.
I thought that was pretty. I mean, the original back in the day. I mean, that was some special effects that we hadn't seen before, and everybody, oohed and awed over that. But there was also some really funny stuff woven in there that kind of kept you from, getting too jump happy.
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd.
God, those were some great
Sigourney
picks.
Weaver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what an unusual mix that is in and of itself.
Yeah, and then Mr. The big Pillsbury Doughboy.
Right.
I mean, seriously, how funny was that? Stomping around New York City.
It's all about size. What about
Is that Bill de Blasio? I don't know.
well, what about in the new one? Big names in this one also, or
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray is still in that, right?
other than that?
Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd's in it too.
I think they came back. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a role going in there too.
So, I mean, does the cameos or actually?
More of a cameo, yeah.
Still, that's kind of cool.
I've heard very good things about it, though.
I'll
I
try
would
to
like
check
to
it out.
see it.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Again, it's going to be gone here pretty quick.
So get on out to the
And,
Sawmill
now's the
Theaters.
time to catch it.
And of course, you can always find out what's playing and when it's playing by just logging on to sawmilltheaters.net, and you'll be able to figure it out right from there. But great to hear that people are getting back out to the movies again and feeling a little bit, better about being indoors and stuff like that.
And in that vein, I want to acknowledge Craig and the Sawmill Theater and the veterans, because I went to the veteran showing of Midway
Right.
last Saturday, and the theater was full.
Well, and
I looked around and I thought, my gosh, this is like a time warp. I'm going back in time. It was fantastic.
you were saying before we went on the air today, Craig, that it was a pretty cool thing. We had the honor guard there, color guard. and everything. Yeah. How cool
No,
is
the
that?
veterans show up, and it's a really it's a good show. And it's all for it's to raise money for
Right.
local veterans. So that's the main point of this. But
And what a great movie it was. I mean, Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda,
yeah,
a lot of guys that I know, and I'm having
Glenn Ford.
Yes,
And
Glenn
these
Ford
are
was-
iconic
yes,
names
yes.
from
Charlton Heston was so good. He was so good, and really
he had me
they
after the 10 Commandments.
they interspersed real newsreel shots of the Midway battle.
Wow.
So
Yeah, they had a lot of actual
it
footage.
was so riveting. I mean, and if kids could see that, I think it would be a great history lesson for a lot of our young people.
And Battleship Arizona still down there, leaking a little bit of oil into the waters, and I mean it's been
In my hometown.
it's been a long time.
Yep, it's been a long time. Yeah, and we just celebrated, what, 80 years?
80 years, yeah.
On December 7th. Yep.
Good morning also to Nancy, Katie, and Kristen, who are joining us this
Yeah.
morning, as well as Dee, just hopped on board. Appreciate you joining us on Facebook Live. When it comes to, I mean, that was like an all-star cast. I mean, it's really who's who in Hollywood back in that day, and you don't get that many in one movie very often.
No,
I mean, these were all pretty famous people before that movie.
they were. And some of them had actually fought in World War II.
Right.
And that's, and Robert Mitchum, who definitely fought in World War II. But you go back to that era and a little bit before, when they made these movies about the war, you had people who had been overseas. Jimmy Stewart had fought.
Jimmy Stewart his military career is actually a pretty amazing thing to read about.
Indeed, and Robert Mitchum and James Coburn, these guys, these old boys were in the war. So yeah.
So they know from whence they came.
Yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
Lee Marvin was a Marine apparently too.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So.
Lee Marvin looked like a Marine.
I know.
Yeah, Semper Fi, do or die, gung ho, gung ho. I like it a lot. Cool. So now, when we start looking at, we talked about some of the movies that are coming up during the holidays here, but after the first of the year, we've got more stuff coming down the pike as well.
Yeah, well, we kick back into next year. Hopefully, is more of a definite return to normal. Some of the studios are doing their streaming thing now too. That's all going to come to an end here at the end of the year.
So that really was just a COVID thing for a while.
Yes, yeah.
Because I've been real cranky about every time I see a movie that's being streamed that I know is in our theater. I'm like, how dare you?
I knew you were cranky about something.
I'm cranky most of the time. Ask my husband.
Well,
We don't have that much time on this talk show.
The studios all used it, the COVID to kind of pump up their subscription services, and they did that at the expense of the theaters.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're past that one hopefully, and we can put that behind us. We do have the last one with Warner Brothers will be The Matrix.
Yeah.
They are going to stream that though.
When is that going to come out?
That's the 22nd.
Of this month.
Yes, yeah, new Matrix film.
And this is the
Fourth.
I was going to say
Fourth,
fourth
yeah.
one. Wow.
Yeah,
The Wachowski brothers, the Wachowski sisters, I think.
Sisters,
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah. They did something.
Someone called the plumber. Anyway, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Every one of those, though, of the first three were all pretty big hits, weren't they?
Oh, huge hits, yeah.
Is Keanu Reeves in
Yes,
this?
yeah.
Oh, all right.
So he's still the main player in the.
Yeah.
Does he have short hair?
Yes.
In that? Good.
Uh,
Hopefully. I'm not
Ooh.
crazy about the John Wick look. I like the movies, but I don't like the
you know
look.
what? I mean, short, but not real short.
That is one. I typically I don't get too enamored over actors or actresses because you're acting like someone else. So what do I know about you? But Keanu Reeves, everything I've read about him, that seems like one really interesting guy to meet.
It's supposed to be one of the nicer people
Yes.
in Hollywood.
So if you can set
Down
that
to
up for me.
earth and yeah, I know.
I think he just went all the stuntmen on for the John Wick film. He bought them all Rolexes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Just doing just things things like that.
Yeah.
Those little things. But he's supposed to be, I guess, a very giving person and pretty down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta love that. There's not a lot of that in Hollywood these days, in my opinion.
No.
But interesting. Good morning also to Dee and Nancy and Katie who are joining us on Facebook Live. The Hollywood itself, when it comes to kind of where we are thinking things will go. I mean, it seems. Well, let me back up a little bit. It seems like the stuff that has been bringing the big crowds out to the theater has changed just a little bit over the last few years. And maybe, I mean, it's been exacerbated by all these other things, COVID and everything else.
Sure.
But are we getting more I don't want to say highbrow, but more picky about what we go to see in the theaters?
Oh, right now? Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
Well,
think
they've got
people are-
so many alternatives, to stream online, and what I think about, the big screen, that's like it's like a temple
Yeah.
of film. It should be watched on the big screen if it's made for the big screen. And then I think of these people who are watching it on their phones or even on a large screen at home. It ain't the same.
No,
It's
I
just
mean,
not,
I've got a
you know?
large screen, good quality TV at home. I've got a good sound system,
Yep, me
and I
too.
can crank that up there, and it still is nowhere close to the same as going to the
No.
theater and in a darkened theater with a big screen and the great sound system and stuff like that. Plus, I think it's kind of fun just to hear other people's reactions.
Yeah.
A couple of the 3D
Sure.
movies that I've been to, I found myself occasionally just stopping watching the movie and just watching the crowd because they're ducking and they're,
Spider-Man will be in 3D next
Oh,
week.
excellent.
that sounds
Yeah.
And we saw 3D Dune in 3D, and that was fabulous. So when is the second part coming out of
Dune?
that? Yeah.
Oh, 23.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
That was
they do-
very, very good.
I guess they are starting to fire up on that, though.
But Spider-Man 3D, that my
Oh,
would have
that'll
tangled
be-
web wee wee.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll be awesome with...
That should be cool.
So is House of Gucci still with us?
Oh, yeah, we just saw House of Gucci.
Oh my
And
gosh.
how's this been going?
Pretty good.
It's
Hey,
really great.
You've got
Another great
Tina breathing
movie.
heavy again.
Yeah.
I'm like all 5 stars here,
Wow.
I mean, that was such a good movie. Ridley Scott is one of my favorite directors.
And it is based at least loosely on real events.
Actually, it's based pretty tightly on
Really?
real events, and how the Gucci people were up in arms, and I'm like, hey,
Sit down and shut up.
y'all really didn't handle your stuff very well.
Right.
But Lady Gaga you can't take your eyes off her. She's fabulous.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a must see.
Hmm.
Yeah, and a big screen must see.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Has that been pretty successful here?
It has done good, yeah.
Good.
It has. Been pretty steady. Yeah, we didn't really get the big crowds for it, but yeah, it's been steady. And that's kind of what we're seeing. More of the drama type films are not bringing in big crowds, maybe steady crowds, I guess you'd say. Once you get into something like Spider-Man, though, those have been and you're looking at the numbers, it's, been, I guess it's kind of normal, but Shang-Chi, Black Widow,
Right.
Venom, Let There Be Carnage, those are the top movies of the year. They've all been up, a couple $100 million.
So, if you're asked what you think the Best Picture award in the Academy Awards is going to be this year, what's your choice?
Jeez.
I gotta think about it.
Well, I mean, if I were voting,
Right.
I put Belfast up there
Oh, wow.
as I mean, seriously, imaginative, original, beautiful, Kenneth Branagh inspired, really wonderful. And it's just me because I have this kind of thing about these wonderful little gem movies that are shown on the big screen where that's where they should be seen.
Right.
What do you think?
King Richard just left. That's going to be
that was
that's
good.
going to be a consideration.
That was really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
I think he'll get nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, definitely. As well, he should.
And there's a
Yeah.
guy who has played a lot of different roles, but always seems to rise to the occasion of being that person. I mean, truly a gifted actor.
Yes. Yeah.
And who'd have guessed it when you look back at the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that would he would rise to that level.
Well, a lot of these guys have done that. Matthew McConaughey. Some of his early
indeed.
work was,
Yeah,
and then he just turned into this, incredible actor.
really good actor.
Brad Pitt. Kind of-
Indeed. Yeah.
Brad Pitt was.
You think of Thelma and Louise? He was the crazy young kid in Thelma and Louise. Who would have thought he would be such a good actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what are some of the other top movies in your opinion, Tina, from this year as far as award-worthy stuff.
Man, I love The Last Duel.
Oh.
But, I don't know if that was well received. But it was, again, another Ridley Scott
Definitely.
and a true story.
And
From
a lot
the 1300s?
Yeah, and a lot of eye candy, a lot of good special
Oh,
effects with
amazing.
that.
Amazing movie. Yeah, really good.
I say that like I've seen it, I haven't.
You're picking my
But I
brain.
watched the commercial once.
It's this licorice pizza.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, there's a lot of buzz on that. Okay, I've not seen it, so I'm not sure there. But
Yeah.
people seem to think it's going to be, might be the one.
I want to find out what caused them to choose that title.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, you know what? Also, Matt Damon in Stillwater, he was amazing.
Going back.
You know, I mean, I love that movie. Yeah,
Here's one. The original West Side Story won Best Picture, right?
I believe it did. Yeah.
I wonder if that's ever happened before. Like,
Same-
with
same-
a remake
Ooh.
Same
the
song,
Best
same
Picture.
choreography. And,
Same music.
and win
yeah.
Best Picture again.
Yeah.
oh, that
That would be very amazing.
I mean, the reviews
Yeah.
on this thing are through the roof, so I
Yeah.
would assume it might be nominated anyway.
Yeah.
And-
What I'm interested to see with it, because in the old days, you know, when you go back to the old Hollywood musicals, definitely MGM was the, you know, they were the master. American in Paris, you know, and all the Fred Astaire movies and the Gene Kelly movies. They knew how to film dance because they didn't do crazy cuts from different points of view.
Mhm.
They filmed the dance, and in the original West Side Story, that was one of the things. You could just watch it and you could just get into the beauty of the movement and the choreography. And I'm hoping that Mr. Spielberg did the same thing with this one, because there's an art to filming dance, and when it's done right, you can't take your eyes off of it. When it's done wrong, it's choppy and it makes you crazy and you just want to look away, which is not what you want to do when you're going to see something beautiful.
Right,
So
that makes sense.
I can't wait to see it.
Now, for those of you listening on KRIM, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music, but feel free to go online to Facebook Live and join us there for another 30 minutes of talk about movies. In the meantime, here on the radio, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music with some tunes from 10,000 Maniacs, Bob Marley, Stephen Bishop, and more. But right now, a look at Rim Country weather.
So shall we?
Well,
Okay.
we should talk about musicals a little, because I think, you know, in view of West Side Story.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, West Side Story, when you talk musicals, I mean, that can go a lot of different directions, but really up towards at least the top of the list has got to be West Side
Oh,
Story.
definitely.
I'm trying to think of other musicals that even compare.
Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Sound of Music, American in Paris, you know, Oklahoma, Carousel. You know, these are the, you know, the Hollywood did, there was nothing like it.
When was the last musical before West Side Story, the remake on that?
Oh, we did In the Heights.
In the Heights?
In the Heights was just in May this year.
Yeah.
That was Lin-Manuel did it Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't see too many musicals these days, it seems. I mean, at least
Well, we don't.
I have, of course, I didn't see that one, but I, you know, I was just trying to think back of, you know, the last musical that I went to. If they're done right, like West Side Story, I enjoyed watching that.
Well, think of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, Russ Tamblyn, who was in West Side Story and the lead dancer on the Howley side, was an amazing dancer in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
That's why we have you here on Fridays. You can remember
I'm a
these things.
fountain of useless knowledge.
Right. No, but really, it's I haven't thought of that movie in like forever.
Yeah.
And that was 70s.
What, the Seven Brides?
Yeah.
Oh no, 50s probably, I think. Yeah.
That far back.
Oh well, that's when they were. That's the golden age. The golden age of musicals was
That's when they were.
the 40s, the 50s, and some of the 60s.
Hmm.
You know, but it was, you know, very stylized. You know, when people break out in song in the middle of a conversation.
And doesn't that happen all the time?
Oh heck, we do that all the time at my house.
You don't want to hear my songs. I'm just telling you right now, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So what movie has not yet been remade that should be remade?
Oh geez. Well, I'm thinking John Carpenter's They Live. Yeah, don't you think? I mean, yeah. I mean, Roddy Piper's dead. We got to find somebody else. You know, but that is a great movie. That is a super.
You know, we just redid Dune.
Exactly, and to me, it was better. I thought it was way better than the original. The original was choppy. Yeah.
You talk about iconic movies being remade. I mean, I think it's dangerous territory to even talk about that. But you know me, I'll talk about it anyway. One of the movies that I really liked from way back when that I think would be interesting to see remade now with all of our enhanced capabilities and everything else is the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh,
That was just a little fictional Old West flick, but I kind of like to see that redone again.
It's dangerous to remake these things.
it is.
Yeah, because you got to be real serious about it, otherwise you're just going to
really
screw up.
attached to them, you know.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like West Side Story, when I first heard that was going to be remade, I was like, that sounds dumb. Why would you do that? And then someone said Spielberg, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm open. I'm really open, especially since he kept the music and the choreography. So
Right.
yeah.
See, some of them though are they're good because they were kind of quirky and like Highlander.
Oh, yeah.
Highlander was such a weird movie.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
But it became
Wasn't that more of a cult classic that later on it became more popular than it was to begin with?
I think yeah. Like, you look at all the spin-offs from it. They did TV shows and everything else with it.
But they had the music by Queen, and I mean.
Yeah, it fit in perfectly with the
perfect.
kind of weird film.
Yeah. Really, and that song, "Who Wants to Live Forever?" Oh my word!
Now,
I could just cry right now.
Dune left us last week?
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
How did that end up doing here?
Good.
Yeah.
And nationally and internationally?
Oh yeah, no, it made money.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be award worthy potentially?
Ooh. Well, I mean,
That's a thought.
special effects for sure.
Yeah.
Costumes.
Yeah, I agree.
And the other question along with that is, and I'll just be real blunt, the original Dune didn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
Or should I say, didn't Dune it for me? But I mean, it seemed like it got more popular as time went on than it did initially. But when I heard they were redoing that, it was like, maybe they could improve on that. And it sounds like, from what you're saying, they must have.
Oh, they did.
I think it was way better.
Really?
I think the remake it had
Why?
shoulders and ankles.
Why?
Well, because they really got a hold of the book, whereas I thought the original was kind of a hot mess, and it was a little cliched and kind of choppy and wandering all over the place, because they tried to do the whole book in one movie.
When they split this into two
They
movies.
split it, and it's very there's this kind of magnificent vastness about this Dune. The feeling of the book was this hugeness of this planet. And what I really like what they did in this version was how they did the sandworms, because they never made it so that you really saw these things full on. They made them so mysterious and so sinister because they were below the earth and bigger than you could imagine. Swallowing a whole city type of big. It was a great.
I watched
special.
Tremors last night.
Oh my gosh, you watched Tremors?
The first iteration of that was making me think of Tremors.
Yeah.
And that was with what's his face, the guy that's been in
Kevin Bacon.
been in every movie since since eggs were created.
Yeah, right.
But with Dune, the new Dune, the music was what I thought really kind of set that off. Yeah, and music's so important to
It
film.
is way.
It really is, to set the tone for things.
And when they stopped putting rap on every movie, I then rejoiced, because it really detracts for me. I mean, there are a few.
Well, it's lacking one very important thing, and that's the capital C in front of the word.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
Exactly.
it's just my opinion.
It has a time and place.
There's a couple of times, where what's his name, Snoop Dogg, did a rap early on with Lawrence Fishburne. I can't remember the name of the movie, but remember it was a young Larry Fishburne, and Snoop Dogg did it was a kind of a rap, but it was a very dreamy kind of feel. I know that was just counter to what you think of as rap, and it was good. It was good, but that was the only time I could think of.
Well, Bad Dreams are
Maybe
good, too.
Spike Lee movies. I mean, maybe.
8 Mile.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, I'll grant you that. Yeah.
So no other movies that need to be remade come to your mind?
I'm sure there are, and if you called me last night and given me a heads up, you were going to talk about
No, I
those.
want spontaneity.
All right, how about Jaws?
Oh yeah,
Could you do that even? Should you?
Well, as long as you kept the music, right?
Back to the music.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Williams on that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, John Williams. Yeah.
He did some iconic movies.
They did True Grit. and that
And
one
that was
Yes.
better.
It
I
was
thought it was
better.
better.
It was
I
better.
mean, sorry, John Wayne, but I thought it was better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's a movie
Good,
I saw.
good point. Yeah. Gee. I'm not sure. Drawing a blank.
2001.
Ooh,
No.
Space Odyssey.
No. I will fight you to the death on that one. That is the original because it's so mysterious. It shouldn't be remade because somebody will think that they have to do closure on that. There's no closure on that. It's mysterious. I saw that
That's a good
movie
point.
16 times when it first came out.
Wow.
Seriously, in Cinerama.
Takes you that long to figure out?
I loved it.
That is an iconic movie, though. I hadn't
It
thought
is.
about that, but
It
that's
is.
an interesting one to consider remaking.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was
In the 60s.
was that 60s?
Yeah.
Gosh,
Because I was
I
still
keep wanting to say 70s, and
I
none
was
of these.
still in college, and so
Yeah.
I graduated '69, so it was before 1969.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I was in film school, and we looked at that and went, "Oh my word!" And we would troop down to the theater because there was no videotape. You couldn't stream. There was no streaming. You just had to go to the theater in Cinerama and sit in the middle so that your whole vision would be taken up by the screen.
another thought that comes to mind is now that a lot of the hippies are older, gray-haired people. How about redoing Fantasia? That could be fun.
What, live?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. That just popped into my head, and I've just been chuckling about it ever since.
Yeah, really.
I don't know.
Well, you could redo Easy Rider and make it better, because that was actually a really sucky
It'd
movie.
be pretty hard to make that one worse.
It was awful. I mean, it's got this cult thing, and I watched it recently. I mean, in the last 2 years, and I thought, this is terrible. It actually is terrible. Yeah.
By the way, real quick, good morning to Jasmine, Lori, Arnoline, and Chip for following along on Facebook Live this morning. Gosh, that
Yeah.
You've got a whole list of films like Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh,
You just couldn't do it just
No.
because of the scale of the thing.
Right.
It's
right.
you can't put a 4-hour film out anymore.
No.
The audiences are just not.
Right.
Yeah, no one's going to go sit.
no.
And
for
remember, they
4
had
hours.
an intermission, and they had
Yeah.
music. It was an experience to go see that movie.
And therein lies an interesting point too, in that it used to be that you'd have an intermission, maybe a couple of cartoons, and then a second feature. A big double feature. Spend the afternoon at the theater, sort of thing. Has there been any talk about trying to revive that sort of thing?
Directors are pretty against it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not going to get enough of their own cut to make it work. Or?
Well, I mean, from a theater standpoint, we'd love it. People go out and hit concession and give everybody a break. And
Right.
but the directors are kind of in the it's taken away from the movie because people have you hear stories of theaters trying to pull that one off, putting their own intermission into a movie, and if it gets found out, it doesn't go over well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just
that's
the film broke. We'll get it. We'll
Yeah.
back up for you in just a moment. Of course, you're not using film anymore. But
Right.
It's just kind of a different time. I don't know.
even when speaking of different times, though, even when the Sawmill theaters first opened up, you were still blowing film through projectors.
Yeah.
It was a platter that might be hitting 2 theaters at the same time, but I mean, it was still film. And when did we make the switch to everything digital?
We went in 13.
Really?
Yeah. That was pretty much the studios pushed that one through.
It's got to be a hell of a lot easier for you, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just got to be clean, easy.
Oh, those projectors were they were nightmares.
Yeah.
They dripped oil. You'd have to every Saturday have to come in and oil all the projectors. Same like a car engine. You can't let it go
Yeah.
dry on there, but
Yeah.
and they dripped oil constantly, and there were pulleys and platters and wheels
And
would fall.
sprockets.
Oh, wheels would fall off, and no, they say it was called a brain wrap, where if you threaded it up wrong, the film would wrap around the center of the platter,
Yeah.
and it would go for a while. You wouldn't know about it until those classic screen melting.
Yeah,
the
right.
bubbling
You
in
see
the film. You see the film melt and
You're
everything.
right.
That's when the brain wrappers got so large that it just locks up the projector and it rips sprockets out and it's just,
Oh,
oh my.
other than that, pretty fun.
Yeah. I have no
Yeah.
nostalgia for it at all.
No, I-
They
What
were-
about the sound systems in the theaters these days? I mean, you guys are pumping some serious sound out there.
Yeah.
I remember when Dolby first came out. I mean,
Well,
whoa.
they're up to, you know,
Yeah.
they've gone up to these Atmos systems now that are just insane.
Mhm.
I guess we could put them maybe in our bigger theaters, but
Mm.
we're almost too small of a theater to put these things in there.
Wow.
Remember when THX was there and was that the one the audience is listening?
Listening.
Yeah.
They're still around.
So
yeah.
cool.
You still
Yeah,
see those,
really
right?
cool.
Still though, I mean, you can go into the theaters here and you can feel the
Oh, yeah.
sound. And
No,
and
They're
there's a-
wonderful. Yeah.
There's one amp dedicated just to the subs, and then you get your surrounds and the front speakers. Yeah.
so how many speakers typically are in one theater?
Ooh, where we're looking at 4 behind the screen, and then 10, 12 surround sounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then your subwoofers are, how big are they?
800 watt.
800-watt
Yeah.
subwoofer.
Yeah.
No wonder you have a separate amp just for that.
Yeah. Yeah. They crank out pretty good.
Or is it the size of the speaker itself?
They're what, 4 foot?
Mm.
4 foot by 2 foot or so.
Wow.
See, this is why you have to come to the theater. This is when you
No, every time I go there and I start looking at the speakers, they tell me to, get over there and sit down.
Yeah, but I mean, the experience of just being in a darkened theater or having this sound wash over you,
I agree.
not focusing on anything other than the movie, put your phone
Yeah.
away, silence your phone. I mean, just, yeah.
So I said Dune was.
Yeah.
I said
Oh.
with Dune, just that.
That was extraordinary.
It's just great. These
Yeah.
giant. Yeah, I don't know. I had this vision of a big 4 or 5 foot drum and just one guy with a
Yeah.
giant. Just,
Oh.
Yeah,
He's saying it just. Yeah, it was just awesome and
It
really.
was really cool.
And it does it. It pulls you into the movie.
Yes.
And so you
Yeah.
mentioned Jaws. That music.
Yeah.
Is just so. Yeah,
Yeah.
John Carpenter with like Halloween. That
He writes all his own music, John Carpenter,
Yeah,
by the way.
that's-
So,
that music is just.
yeah.
Or The Shining.
Oh.
Duh.
Oh, that opening. Yeah,
There's Johnny.
Yeah, that opening song when they're driving up that road is just so eerie.
I
You
think
know
that the
the-
two little twin girls are the ones that creep me out.
Yeah. Well, the John Carpenter, The Thing with Kurt Russell up in
Oh, yeah,
Alaska.
Yeah.
That music is just scary. I mean, the
It's
music
all-
itself is
It's
scary.
all John
Yeah,
Carpenter.
Yeah.
doing
That's
that.
interesting. The Shining. I haven't thought about that one in a while. That's
Hmm.
and that's one that I don't know how you would remake that and improve upon it. I thought that was pretty well shot,
There's,
well acted.
Mhm.
I don't know of any shortcomings in that movie, in my opinion.
Well, see, that's where you get into, well, like with West Side Story. There's a little bit of a why. If you're taking if you're taking a movie, like with Dune, where it was originally kind of, people
Yeah.
were mixed on it. It's a little bit choppy. It's like, all right, so you remake it and make it better. But I don't know if you take a movie that's already, a best picture. Where are you going with this?
Why are you trying to fix something that ain't broke?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm open, and I'm not usually open to that kind of thing, but I'm seriously looking forward to
No,
seeing
I
it.
mean, it
I'm
has
really
been
open.
it has been 50 years, so
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
that time thing.
50 years. Yeah.
It's not where
Yeah.
Great, now I'm depressed.
Yeah. that's not where you're remaking something that was made 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
so,
I think it's going to be fun.
Interesting.
My only objection, if I have one, which I do, is that the male lead is a little too effeminate looking for me. He's a little too pouty. I would have liked if they would have had a little bit more of a guy's guy, but that's.
Okay, and I'll
Yeah.
leave you with one other idea here. This, as far as iconic movies that need to be remade, this one is about as iconic as it gets. Everybody knows it, and yet I think that if we use today's technology, we could make something really much more special out of it, and that's The Wizard of Oz. I mean, with today's technology, what could be done with the Wicked Witch of the West, or those the
The
flying monkeys? They
monkeys,
freaked me out as a
yeah.
kid, and they still kind of
Oh,
creep me out a little bit.
yeah.
But I mean, I think what could be done with that movie with the special effects nowadays? I mean, it's
Yeah,
there are some iconic faces in that, but let's remake it anyway. It's a bizarre storyline,
Talk to
but
Spielberg. Call him up.
okay.
Yeah.
Steve, I'm not answering my call right now.
He did Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
And how'd that work out?
And that was with Johnny Depp,
It
right?
actually did well.
Yeah.
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 It did well.
And
Yeah,
it was
it did.
Gene Wilder,
Gene Wilder was-
original.
yeah, the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, I think he's been typecast too much. I mean, he's at that.
Well,
Just
when he
gets
got
that
into
edgy sort
when he
of.
got into the Pirates of the Caribbean, and that's when I think he, I mean, multiple films, but he's very versatile.
Yeah,
Very versatile.
and he probably should own stock in a mascara company somewhere.
Okay. Really, and didn't he model his Jack Sparrow after Keith Richards?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's such a great joke. I mean, there's this the picture on Facebook with Keith Richards, the young Keith Richards, holding a baby, and says Keith Richards holding Betty White when she was a kid.
Yeah, Keith Richards has been around for a while, and he's looked like he's been kind of
But
haggard for a long
he's still
time.
here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Better living through modern chemistry. Anyway, it's whatever's right.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't know. I just the more I think about that though, with the Wizard of Oz, I think that
Yeah.
that would be a fun one to try and go
It'd be
after
interesting to see who they pick as a lead, though.
again.
Because Judy Garland.
Yeah. And was there
really-
ever any other movie that the gal that played the Wicked Witch of the West was in?
Oh yeah. I can't remember what, but she was quite a character actor during
Really?
that time. Yeah. Yeah.
And
was good.
Glenda the Good Witch.
Glenda.
I don't remember her from anything else either.
I don't either, but perhaps.
And come to think of it, the Scarecrow, Tin Man,
Well,
one-hit wonders. I
and
think.
the guy who played the Cowardly Lion, Bert.
And now you're going back 80 years.
Bert
so
Lahr.
that's-
Yeah, it
Was
is
that
like 80 years.
1939?
Yeah, 1939. Yeah,
Gosh.
yeah, I know.
But I remember, it would always come on TV once a year as a kid, and I always liked watching it. But man, those monkeys, man, they did kind of freak me out a little bit as a kid.
Mhm.
I don't know. It'd be fun to see what Hollywood could come up with.
Well,
say,
and the message of that is so wonderful.
Yeah.
It's, don't pay no attention to the little man behind the curtain.
Right.
Think of how that
But enough about the
translates
6 o'clock news.
today's politics.
Yeah.
Right.
Also
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, a little,
No, I think there's a lot of good
Anthony
stuff.
Fauci, he could play the Wizard of Oz.
Ooh,
Ooh.
there you go. Remember, you heard it first here on Roller Derby.
From me.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting.
Hey, they
Oh,
could
that
remake roller derby. That was pretty good.
Rollerball. Oh,
Rollerball, yeah.
Actually, they remade Rollerball.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Hmm.
That original with James Caan was great.
Oh, that was good.
That
yeah.
goes back a ways, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
I kind of liked forgetting all about that.
And they remade and with Anthony Hopkins playing Hannibal Lecter. But if you go back to the original, which was made by Michael Mann, called Manhunter, and that with William Peterson, that was the scariest Hannibal Lecter to me ever, and that is such an amazing movie.
I'm unaware of that.
Michael Mann, he's a great director. He did all the Miami Vice stuff.
And this was an iteration of that before the more iconic
Yeah.
version.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had ever been remade.
Well, I mean, he made Manhunter from the book, and then they pushed Hannibal Lecter more to the forefront of the character. But
see.
boy, you see that movie. I mean, anytime that movie's around, I'll watch it.
And how far back does that date?
Oh, 70s, 80s, yeah, maybe 80s. I keep thinking further back, but then somebody pointed out that 1980 was 40 years ago.
Killjoy.
I know.
Age is mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Trouble
If
is-
you have no mind, you won't think it matters.
Trouble is, the older I get, the more I mind. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Well, now again, movie starts today at 1 and 1:15.
12:30.
12:30.
12:30 for West Side Story.
And how long of a movie is that?
2.5.
2.5 hours.
You actually get the whole West Side Story is 2.5 hours. Nightmare Alley is 2.5 hours. Spider-Man is 2.5 hours, and The Matrix is 2.5 hours.
And the Gucci House of Gucci was 2 hours.
Yeah, that was 2.5 hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Nightmare Alley.
Yeah.
a little bit. Kate Blanchett and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
we'll talk about that more next week when.
Yeah.
has that been out 2 weeks?
No, it comes out next week.
Oh, it comes out next week.
Yeah, that's next week.
Okay, and that's supposed to be
Well,
You hearing good things about that?
like I said, it's a strange looking movie. It's one of those I've watched the trailers and I'm just not sure what's going on there.
Huh.
But like you said, great cast to it. So.
Great. Yeah.
I could watch Kate Blanchett, read the dictionary.
Yeah, she's great.
Sounds good. Well, anyway, head on out to the Sawmill Theaters today. Get yourself some popcorn, something cold to drink, and enjoy a great movie. And in the meantime, we'll talk to you next Friday right here. Thanks for coming along.
Party on.